All right, guys, welcome back to another one. I'm the Gold Standard, and today we are jumping in it with another new leader from OP-09, the one and only Nico Robin. Now, I really think that people have been somewhat sleeping on this deck, but with a top 32 finish in the championship finals down in Mexico City, which was a nearly 1,400 person tournament, I think people are going to start waking up to her potential. So today we're going to go over her general strategy, all the different components of this deck and how they work together, her ideal play lines, and a couple tech options that you might consider playing if you're using this. So guys, sit back, kick your feet up, and let's play some One Piece. Cool, so first things first, let's talk about her leader ability, which first of all just reads Banish flat out. That's right, and that is absolutely insane to just see a leader ability with Banish, which means that anytime she attacks and your opponent takes damage, that life card is just trashed immediately, which is cool because it doesn't activate triggers, so if you're going into another yellow deck, you don't have to worry about their triggers, but it also plays a key component in her strategy. Her second ability is when attacking, you may trash one card with a trigger from your hand, add up to one Dawn card from your Dawn deck, and set it as rested. So both of those abilities are absolutely insane. Like you have Banish and Ramp built into your leader. So if we take a look at the build here, what you'll notice immediately is things like Yamato, Gadatsu, Ace, you've got Beige, the zero cost event. And so the best way I can describe Nico Robin is she plays very similar to Enel, but with Ramp. So for those of you guys that are really anti-Enel, honestly, I hear you, but it's still worth knowing how Nico plays, even if you aren't gonna play it, because you wanna know how to beat it. So what you're doing with Nico is you're gonna use your leader ability to ramp up to this top end very quickly. Now, because her leader ability is pitching cards, what you end up doing is in the mid game, you just take life down to 1 because you're using your life cards to make up the difference from the cards that you are pitching out of your leader ability. And then you're gonna use your top end to start recovering life when you're at 1. And so this is what I mean about playing like Enel, because Enel just likes to hang out at that 1 life. And Nico really is the same. Cool, so I want to break this deck down into 3 different parts. One is all the different card draw options, because since you're pitching cards for leader ability, you need to have a way to recover cards. Otherwise, you'll just run out of steam. 2, I want to talk about the removal options, because in the mid game, which is very quick with this deck, there are some key cards that you need to remove stuff from their board. And finally, 3, all of the miscellaneous cards that I haven't talked about in the other 2 parts, so that you know what all the different cards are and you know exactly how to use this deck. So let's get into it, guys. All right, so up first in the world of card advantage or card draw, we'll start with the top end of this deck. And I would argue that this is the most important aspect of this deck, because not only does it offer a way for us to generate card advantage, but it's also how you regenerate life when you get down to that 1 life mark. So we are playing 2 of the Charlotte Linlins, who is on play Dawn -1. You may trash a card from your hand, add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life cards, and then add up to one of your opponent's characters with a 6 cost or less to the top or bottom of your opponent's life cards face up. Yeah, you're pitching a card, but you are gaining a card, so you end up net neutral here with Charlotte Linlin. With Yamato, she's a 9 cost on play, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost equal to or less than the total number of life cards between you and your opponent. Then if you have 1 or less life cards, add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life card. So again, she is generating card advantage in the form of giving you more life that you then draw on the next turn. And again, we've got the 10 drop Ace, who is on play, add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life cards. And then if you have 2 or less life, this card gains Rush. Again, Ace is a way for you to, gain life, generate card advantage because you'll take it that next turn, and also have Rush. And it should be noted that with Ace, even if you're at 2 life, you can still use his ability to gain a life to bring you to 3. He just won't have Rush. And sometimes that's a good option for you because it just sets you up for the next turn. So all 3 of these are ways of generating card advantage from life. I threw the 0 cost event in here as well because this is a 0 cost that is counter. You may trash 1 card from your hand, and one of your leaders or characters gains 3,000 power during this battle. But what it is the trigger. If you trigger this from life, if you have 0 life cards, you may add 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life cards and then trash a card from hand. And so this is a way of, again, ending up sort of net neutral, because if you have this as your last life card, not only do you gain a life, but you also gain potentially 1 more card by pitching a brick from your hand. So for instance, you trigger this on your 0 cost. If you don't need one of these big bricks, like if you don't need a Linlin or something, you can pitch it and then gain a life. And in that life card is potentially, more counter. So typically the way I've been using this deck is I use my leader to attack in because everyone's afraid of the Banish, and so they almost always counter. And then I use my board to kind of clean up their board. That's the top end aspect of this deck for both card advantage and life regeneration. Now, some more card draw options are you have the 1-drop Gum Gum Giant, which is counter, Don -2, you may trash a card from your hand. And if your leader is a Straw Hat Crew type, up to one of your leader or characters gains 4,000 power during this turn, and then you draw 2 cards. So you end up +1 card with this. I'm running the Jewelry Bonnie in this deck, and you don't necessarily have to. She's definitely a flex spot, and I'll talk about some tech options later. But she's a 3-cost 4K character with a 1K counter, who is Dawn ×1. On your turn, once per turn, when a card is removed from your opponent's life cards, you can draw 2 cards and trash 1. So again, you end up net +1 card with Bonnie after they take 1 of their life. So typically, you know, I like to put the 1 Dawn on, swing in heavy with my leader because it banishes a card, and then I get to draw 2, trash 1. Now her trigger is also draw 2 cards and trash 1 card from your hand. So she's also a great trigger to hit, which leads me into the other triggers that you would want to hit from life, which is the 1-drop 0K Nico Olivia, who is a 2K counter, which is on play up to one of your Nico Robin leader gains 3,000 power. So this is a good card if you want to just, you know, swing in very heavy and develop like almost a finishing move or something like that. Because for 1 Dawn, you can add 3,000 power to your leader. But her trigger is if your leader is Nico, draw 3 and trash 2. And so again, you're ending up +1 card for this one. And then Frankie is another one that you can get card draw for triggering from life because he's a 4-cost 5K character who is also a 2K counter. But his trigger is draw 1 card, just flat out. And then if you have 1 or less life cards, you can play this card. The reason you'd want to do that is because if you have like a blocker down or something like that and you know you can make it through your next turn, but you just want more attackers, you can put him down and draw the card. And the other one is if you're in a position where you take a life, say early on, and you don't have any of your top end options in your hand, you can use his trigger to draw a card and potentially draw into, you know, one of your 9 or 10 drops and then trash Frankie. So those are all the different ways that you're generating card draw in this deck. And they're very important because you are pitching cards to use your leader ability, most likely 2 turns on your way to ramping up. And so it's important to have a way to replenish those cards. Next up, let's talk a little bit about the removal package. So first up, we have things that just KO characters outright, which are Nami, who is a 5-cost 5K with a 1K counter, who is on play. You may trash a card with trigger from your hand, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a 5-cost or less. Then if you have 3 or less cards in your hand, you can draw 1 card. So technically, if you're at a very small hand size, you can also use her to draw a card. I didn't put her in the card draw options because frankly that almost never happens, because at that point in the game you're most likely playing 10 drop, 9 drop, things like that. Her trigger is activate her main effect. You trigger her off life, you can body a 5-cost or less. Gadatsu is a 5-cost 6K character with 1K counter who is on play, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost equal to or less than the number of your opponent's life cards. So again, this is more of like an early mid-game play. When they still have 4 or 5 life, you can drop Gadatsu and kill a 4 or 5-cost character. And then finally we have Yamato, who we already talked about, but she KOs something with life equal to the total life cards in the game currently. And so honestly, because you're hitting things on ramp, you drop Yamato on your 4th turn, basically anything that they've played, you can KO. And then here are some like alternative types of removal. We talked about Linlin, and she can remove a 6-cost or less. Again, it's not KOing things, you're putting it into their life, but it is a form of removal. And then I've got the 7-drop Sanji, who is a 7-cost 7K character with a 1K counter. Is on play, you may return 1 or more Dawn cards from your field to your Dawn deck. This character then gains rush and then rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a 6-cost or less. This isn't outright removal, but you can use it to get rid of important 6-cost or less characters on their board, because you can rest it and then attack into it with either Sanji or leader, or you can use this as a finisher and, you know, rest a blocker and then swing in again with leader, Sanji, and whatever else you have on the board. So the times you're using the removal package are during the mid game to relieve pressure on your life from whatever they have on board, because one of the big weaknesses of this deck is that you don't want people to develop a very wide board against you, because then it's hard to stay at that 1 life range. So Dofi is a tough matchup, but some of these removal options really do help mitigate some of that pressure. So that's your removal package. And then finally, we've got some miscellaneous cards. I'm running 3 of each of these blockers. Charlotte Brule is a 3-cost 1K with a 1K counter, and she's just a blocker, and her trigger is play off of life. So, you know, you hit this from your life and you just get a blocker. And Jaguar is a 3-cost 5K character with no counter, who is also a blocker. And if your leader is Nico, you can trigger this off of life. So again, you want to see both of these in life. You really don't want to see these in your opening hand. Next up, we've got the new Nico Robin, and this is a 6-cost 6K character with 1K counter who is on play if your opponent has 3 or more life cards, trash up to 1 card from the top of your opponent's life. And then the trigger is play up to 1 yellow character with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. So Waifu Nico here is a great option for the mid game because she only works at 3 or more life cards. Later in the game, you're just not going to want this card, and that's why I'm only playing 3 of them. And also the trigger, the only card in this deck that you're ever really going to use from the trigger is to play out a Bonnie. But it is cool to have a card that just straight up trashes life from your opponent. And it's a pretty nasty combo because if you hit this on the odd curve, which we'll look at later, you can basically trash 2 of their life cards by turn 3. And then finally, the all-purpose yellow Capone. This is a 3-cost 3k character with a 2k counter, but it's really you want him in life because his trigger is up to one of your opponent's leader or character cards cannot attack during this turn. So again, you know, near the 1-2 life range, when you trigger this, you just make it so one of their big bodies can't attack. Cool, so now that you know what this deck has in it, let's talk about the ideal curve going odd. And you definitely want to be going first with this deck. And in truth, basically all ramp decks, you pretty much want to go first. I started this at turn 2 because there are no turn 1 plays in this deck. So turn 2, you're going to start your turn with 3 Dawn. You're going to swing with your leader, pitch a card with trigger, and ramp to 4 Dawn. And then I argue that you should play Bonnie, but another perfectly good option here is to just put all 3 Dawn on your leader and swing in for 8 because it basically always will force them to trash a card from their life because of the banish. But either way, you end the turn with 4 Dawn. Turn 3, same kind of thing. You're going to swing with leader, pitch a trigger card, ramp, and then you're going to drop your 6-cost Nico. And this is going to guarantee you to trash one of their life cards. And again, I like to play Bonnie because it sets you up for the later game where you can start developing more card draw. But if you just, you know, swing for 8 and then play Nico, you've already trashed 2 life cards from them. And against a 4-life leader, that's kind of big. So now after turn 3, you are going to end with 7 Dawn because you have ramped. And so turn 4, you're already at 9 Dawn, which is absolutely insane. So you can play one of your 9 drops, either Linlin or Yamato. I would argue Yamato is obviously better because you can KO something on their board and, you know, you're not dropping any Dawn or anything like that. And I should note that on all of these turns when they are attacking in, you should just be taking those life cards because by the time you hit Yamato, you want to be at 1 life so that you can get the most out of her ability. And then you hit turn 5 and you are at 10 Dawn, so you can drop your 10 drop ace, you can drop more of your 9 costs, or really any of the other cards in this deck that make sense for the position you're in. But I would argue this is the path to the most pressure on your opponent. Now, before we get into the even curve, if you are getting any value out of this, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. It really does help me out on my quest to 1,000 subs. And guys, we're pretty much right there. By the time this video comes out, we may even already be there. So thank you so much for the support, guys. I really do appreciate it. And speaking of support, guys, if you want to help this channel out even more and you're planning on buying cards already, think about using my TCG player link here. It's in the description of all of my videos, and I get a small percentage of whatever you do purchase. Currently, right now, we are sitting at $15.76, guys, which is absolutely epic. So thank you again for all the support. I plan on using this for giveaways. So once it hits like $100, taking it out and buying a box of whatever the newest set is, and then just giving it away on the channel. So again, guys, if you use the code, awesome. If not, no worries. I appreciate all the support, even just from watching these videos. So thanks again, and let's get back into it. Cool. So now let's look at the even curve. And you might be looking at this and thinking to yourself like, hey, that looks exactly like the odd curve. And you know what? You'd be right. There is one small key difference that I'll go over in a second, but the biggest thing about this deck is that you're really just trying to ramp to your big end. And so these early turns are they're somewhat irrelevant because really you're just racing to 9 Dawn. But here's the key difference to the even curve. So again, turn 1, I don't have anything because there is no turn 1 play. Turn 2, you start the turn with 4 Dawn, swing with leader, pitch your trigger card to ramp to 5 Dawn. And then this time you definitely want to put Bonnie down. And the reason is because you finish this turn with 5 Dawn, so you come up to turn 3 with 7 Dawn. You put one of those Dawn on Bonnie, and then you play your Nico and trash one of their life cards, and then you get the card draw automatically off Bonnie. And I know you guys are like, wow, you're really making a big deal about the card draw, but the thing is, in this deck, you're only playing 8 top-end cards and no searchers. And so you have to get ways to find the top end other than just seeing it in your opening hand. Because frankly, without it, you're absolutely cooked with this deck. The rest of this curve is exactly as you'd expect. You're dropping your big bodies, you know, to either manage board or to gain life accordingly. But yeah, that's the only difference in the even curve is the guaranteed card draw. Cool, so now that you know exactly how this deck runs, let's talk about a couple tech options. And briefly before that, I just want to talk about the ratios in this deck, which is I originally was playing with 4 aces and I ended up swapping in 2 Linlins for 2 aces because 1, I was only playing 2 of the 0-cost events. So if you're planning on running 4 aces, you should definitely run 4 0-cost events. But also the Gum Gum Giant just does not feel good when you have like 2 of these in hand and only aces to play. And so what I found is a lot of times on my 10 Dawn turns that I'd rather have another 9 drop and then save the 1 Dawn just to use as counter. I would recommend recommend playing with the ratios so that you find something you feel comfortable with. And it'll be based on how many of these zero cost events you're playing and how many aces you really want. So cool. These are really the only 2 tech options that I've seen in this deck very commonly. I mean, I'm sure you could dig up a ton of others, but the first is Onami, who is a 2-cost 3k character with a 1k counter, who's on play. You can give one of your leaders or characters banish. So she's great because, you know, like you put it on one of your bigger bodies and you banish another card. Also, the biggest thing is that her trigger from life is KO up to one of your opponent's 5-cost or lower characters. So the biggest reason she's in this deck is mostly because of that trigger. And then the other one is this Zoro 6-cost promo card, who is a 7k character with a 1k counter and just has banish on it. And honestly, I kind of like this character in the deck more than even the 6-cost Nico that you're running, because banish applies so much pressure to your opponents and it just puts them in a very uncomfortable situation. And 7 is a pretty hard number to defend out of because it requires 2 cards bare minimum every turn. So if you wanted to throw like 2 of these in, I would recommend dropping one of the 6-cost Nikos and maybe 1 Gadatsu. All right, guys, that's all I've got for Nico here. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this leader, especially now that she has had a pretty decent finish in a big tournament. So let me know in the comments if any of you are using this leader and if you've got any cool changes or tech options that I just haven't seen. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And let's get into some gameplay. All right, we are in it with a purple Luffy, and luckily we get to choose, so we'll definitely take first. Does this help us? Does Gadatsu help us in this? So what's he get? He can do 5. He can, I mean, yeah, it kind of helps us because we can KO a like a Sanguro, or yeah, we'll keep this. Yeah, I'll go ahead and keep this. Because turn 1, we'll just swing super heavy and pitch this, and with any luck we'll take a life, because like the problem is that they don't want to take this first life on their in between these 2 turns. Well, actually it probably doesn't matter for them, they're going second, never mind. We'll still swing heavy though. Then Gadatsu comes down on the next turn and he's at 5, so yeah, Gadatsu's still useful kinda here. I mean, frankly, so is this. We'll pitch this though on the attack here. So yeah, we pitch this, gain the 1 rested. Hopefully he tries to counter this. Takes it, cool. All right, cool. Yeah, and the turn. You love that banish. You just love that banish. Okay, it just plays an Onami. Interesting. Just like hard drops that. Kind of crazy to me. Yeah, we take this for sure. So Gadatsu is now not super useful because we can't KO her. So the question is, do we still want to do that? I mean, it develops a body. We can get rid of this at least. We still have to ramp, so I'll probably pitch. I mean, Brule, does she help us here? She could. She definitely could. Either way, we'll go 6. I'm going to trash. Painful. I trash Brule. Trash Brule. So presumably just 2Ks out of this. Yeah, okay. KO this, move on with our turn. So next turn we're good because we'll be here. We can KO the Nami and then just start swinging in. And the turn after we'll see what we draw from life, because he'll definitely swing on us. And if we got another Yamato at some point in here, that would be kind of ideal. So this is still okay because Yamato KOs Sanguro, I'm assuming is what he's going to put down with this. Yeah, so Yamato KOs Sanguro here. And then we might be able to get his blocker just from attacking. Does he ramp though is the question. Because if he ramps, then I will counter out of this because we need to keep 5 total life. Ooh, so we don't know if he ramps because he could ramp at the end and save Sanguro. So the question is, do we think he has the wherewithal to prevent me from KOing Sanguro? And I'm going to go with, there's no way. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Get this out of here. Yeah, I mean, if he would have ramped there, like, we would have had to go for the blocker. I still would have played this most likely, but it wouldn't have been as obvious. Now these are just like not useful anymore because we're just going to start doing back-to-back aces. So I'll probably pitch them with this. Gives us a bunch of counter there. I mean, All right. See, I feel like in this case, Pluffy needs to go wider. Like, the life wouldn't have mattered. He needs the Sanguro down and potentially something else. Like Sanguro and that 4-cost Zoro Searcher. That would have been a pretty good play if he would have taken the his life on the last turn and burned the blocker. But alas, here we are, friends. Draws another Luffy Taro, which we know is a brick in hand, so that's fine with me. Interesting. Okay, well, yeah. Interesting to draw the Luffy and not use it. I mean, well, I guess not. I mean, who knows what else is in his hand, but he's in a dire situation right now, friends. Okay, so he does get the Zoro Joro. See, so now dropping that makes a lot of sense. Spreads his board out a bit. I mean, frankly, even these Law Searchers are a problem for us. Because, you know, you can just put Dawn on him and just poke away. And, like, we don't have that much counter, obviously. You can see my hand. Ooh, he does ramp. So he is going into Luffy Taro here. Into Zoro Joro, I bet. Which is, you know, a decent move, honestly. Yep, draws a card. So that gives him a pretty, I mean, it's a stout board. Okay, he's playing with the Orobis in here. Interesting, very interesting. I guess you can drop that off of Luffy Taro and KO something. So let's see what he does here with his attacks. If he tries to go after Gidatsu, that'd be kind of cool with the Luffy Taro. Yeah, that's what I was hoping. And then if he goes after life, that's ideal. Because we take it, and now our ace is online. So here we go, 5, because it's going to just burn another counter from his hand, most likely. Yeah. We go 6. Okay, so he just takes that. So we've got to go. He has no Dawn up. So yeah, we have to go 9 on 8 here. Okay. And then we have to go 10 on 8. And we have to hope that he doesn't have enough counter in hand to protect that. Going 6 first there was actually a bad ordering because it did give him a card from life. Noted. Yeah, so he does protect this. All right. Basically comes down to this next turn. I mean, he could go after board, but I don't know why he would. So, I mean, if he orders these attacks correctly and there's nothing in life, he could win. He could win right now. He pretty much has to go for game. Because if he goes for our board, I mean, I'll protect some stuff and he just can't survive 2 attacks, you know? Let's see what he cooks here, guys. Let's see what he cooks. All right, so he's got 2 on there. So we've got an 8 coming our way. 8 on 6. Yes, you can have that. Going for board there, I think is... I mean, I guess not because I'm yellow. So, you know, there's always the option of me just getting some disgusting trigger. 11 on 9. Oh, dude. Yeah, I'm sorry, friend, but I can't give you that. Because now he just has... There's nothing that he can do. Very curious what's in my life, though, because I feel like if he would have gone for game there, that was the time. It was his only option. I do play the 0-cost event, so, you know, that could have been in there. Yeah, you can definitely have that. Oh, all right. Saves 2. He saves 2 up for potentially 2 Gum Gum Giants. So that gives him realistically only 1 because he could only use 1 and then the other. So we can banish out something. So in his hand right now, he could have 9 Dawn tops. So yeah, we go 9 because he can do 2. Yeah, we go 9. He can do 2 and pitch 1. He could draw some off of his hand, off the cards in his hand though. So he definitely has one. So let's go an extra 2 here just in case. Because if it's like, then he has to find a 2K and a 1K because he can use the red rock, or not the red rock. He can use the Gum Gum Giant, pitch the other card. He'll be at 9 and then he'll draw 2 cards and they have to be a 2K and a 1K to get out of this. And then here, it just doesn't work no matter what. So that's why we went 11. Yeah, see, so he pitches the Gum Gum Giant here, pitches the card in his hand, draws 2, and then what are they? Because I'm very curious because if they're 2 2Ks, he actually would have survived this. Nope. It's a 1K. What has he gotten here? This is a bunch of random stuff. I'm not going to lie. Oh, and another Gum Gum Giant. Yeah. GG's. GG's. All right. We are in it with a Blackbeard. And I kind of feel like we should take second from them because it'll throw them off curve. Yeah, I'm going to keep this because I have Bonnie, so I can get some card draw options and it'll force him to actually like remove it. And basically everything else is, you know, like minus Nico here. So I'm actually going to use Nico next turn immediately, I think, because the turn after I don't necessarily have a play and we'll probably get Black Hold, but I'd like to make it, well, nah, probably not. Probably not. Yeah, we take that. That sucks. That would have been nice to, that'd have been nice to get earlier. So we'll go here, put the 1 on, swing. Are we going to trash a card? Yes, we will trash. Okay, so he does counter. Honestly, great for us. Keep that hand size small. And now the only thing he can do to remove Bonnie is with a one of the event cards, which he does not have. So he's just dropping blockers, which I'm kind of okay with here. So we are Black Hold, so none of these cards really matter for us right now. So I think all we'll do, I mean, we'll try and swing just to see if he does anything. Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I figured. Let's just drop Sanji, call it a day. See, the problem with Blackbeard is that because we can't get on plays, we don't get to regenerate life. And so we have to be very careful with how we counter. 8K. Yeah, that's all yours, dude. So we get Black Hold again, which is unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. So I think we kind of have to swing sort of large here. Okay, so we do get the blocker there, which is kind of good for us. Because now I think we go like 7. We develop one of these two, so probably get Datsu here actually because it's cheaper. So let's see. 7-6. Does he have a 2K in hand? Maybe. We'll find out. Cool. Yeah, so he is going after Bonnie here, which is fine with me. And then he is going to go after our Sanji, I believe. Yeah, and so we will counter that because we need that. And then we'll see if he pitches this last card for Black Hole, which he does. Which to me is great, honestly. So let's go here. Trash no cards. He is a 7, so let's go 7 there. Because he will be at 10 for Blackbeard next turn. Okay, just dropping bodies and the turn. So this is the problem. Like if he doesn't have Blackbeard here, he's kind of chalked. We have developed, you know, a decent board that he can, sure, he can swing into it right now. He can swing into life with these two, whatever. I mean, if I was him, that's potentially what I would be doing. But then if this is a, like, I'd be swinging into our life because if this is a, like, I can't kill him next turn. And yeah, so trash 1. Okay, so we do get this. So Yamato could be potentially useful next turn. And we're going to use this because I want to find a blocker. And we do. So we'll trash. I don't think we need another one of these. And I mean, frankly, I don't think we'll even use ace in this. Okay, so we do get black hold, which is totally fine with me because this guy is an 8. So let's go here. We'll get one trash. Yep, perfect. Let's go here. And now we can kind of just have our way with his life somewhat. Now, it was dangerous to do it this way, but since I have 2 of these in hand and the Jaguar, I think that this is okay because we have so much counter in hand. So much that I'm even, in fact, tempted to play out Frankie because then I have another attacker next turn, but I'll chill. Okay, so he does dock Q. Yep, tries to get rid of this, and then he's going to swing pretty massive here, which is exactly what we expected, and I'm totally fine with because we have 2 Gum Gum Giants in hand. And it's just like we get so much counter for doing that. Yeah. And then we can just do it again if we need to. So let's go. We go 7. He has nothing to counter. There's no way. Then we go 7. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. But we go 7. We go 8, 9. Yeah, we go 9. Oops, yeah, we go 13. Cool, yeah. GG's, GG's. All right, so we're in it with a Shanks. Friendly Shanks. Do we keep this? Do we keep this? We don't really have anything going there, so I think not. This is actually more useful, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Drops the Sanji here. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. Okay. So we do the swinging game. She can come in next turn. So we'll pitch this. Getting the one rested. Which will be very nice. Because hitting Nico on curve feels pretty good. Not going to lie, guys. So he is doing the double thing. Yeah, we'll do this. What do we trash here? I guess one of these Namis probably is... Yeah, one is plenty. So let's go here. Because there's a chance that we need this. I know it's crazy, but there's a decent chance. So let's go here. Trash. We'll trash this because this has counter. Saves that. You know, what he should have done there is just use his leader ability and then blocked with this, but it is what it is, guys. Who am I? I'm just a freaking content creator. But he is down to 2 life right now, so there is that. And we're coming up on Yamato next turn, so... I mean, yeah, it is what it is. Okay, so he's going to just do some massive swings here, I guess. A 6? I thought he was going to burn the life. Yeah, we won't take this one because that's an easy counter. I will take this one. Oh, Linlin here goes hard because we can drop that on here. Do we do that, though? Do we even need to? Linlin does go pretty hard, though. I'm not going to lie. He'll be at, what, 8 Dawn next turn? Yeah, that's pretty savage. Let's go Linlin. Do one. What do we trash here? Probably one of these. Yeah, I'll trash one of these. We gain a life. Let's put this at the bottom. We know there's a 1K in there. Let's go here. We don't need a ramp. It counters that. Whoa, wow, wild. Absolutely wild. I still go in on life here then. Yeah, okay, cool. Because even if he attacks us twice here, like, we counter out of 1. I mean, maybe a Rayleigh comes down or something, KOs this. He is definitely not as... He's, like, not as much of a threat right now anyway. Because, like, he has to use so much Dawn. Yeah. Okay, so Beckham, great. 2K. Yep. So is there a world where I counter this? I think not. Awesome. Sanji goes hard too. Oh, he does take his life. What? That's insane. This guy's nuts, guys. This guy's bananas. So let me think. I could counter this. Do we counter this? I think I have to counter this, actually. Yeah. It's okay because we have this for the next turn, so not terribly concerned. Crazy that he did that, though. Absolutely crazy. I love to see it, though. I love to see the enthusiasm. Definitely don't need to pitch anything. Bro, save it again. I want him to counter this because, like, we can... Yeah, that's exactly what I was hoping. This dude's nuts, guys. Absolutely nuts. Because watch this. We go here. I just can't believe he's burned so much counter saving that. Then we go here. Get this out of here and gain a life. And we still have the 1-up for our Gum Gum Giant. So, I mean, even if he drops Shanks, we can actually protect her. Yeah, so this is all fine. So what's he got? 6, 11. This is in for a 13 on us. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. 14, 13. Okay. Yeah, you can have that. Absolutely, dude. 5. Yeah, sure. We'll take that. Trash a card. Guess we got to pitch one of these. So we'll probably put a blocker in. Maybe another Lucky Roo. And nothing. Oh my god. Okay. I mean, we can gain more life. We can also just kind of go for the game. I think we'll play it safe and gain the life. So let's go, what, 5. Okay, let's go 9. He blocks with a Red Hawk. Yeah, this is perfectly fine for us, guys. It's kind of why I was like, there's no shot we get through with a Sanji. What do we pitch? We pitch a Sanji here, gain a life, and end the turn. And he still keeps the blocker in life. So again, he could do like the same sort of play. Like he can go heavy on our Yamato. Yeah, I guess he's gonna do it again. Because we know he has another Red Hawk in hand. That much we know. So yeah, go ahead. Yeah, and then here I counter with this, most likely. Oh, nice. He goes 9 here. And he saves nothing up for his hand. Yeah, I just take that. I mean, we can just keep going with this. The same kind of thing. I mean, I can keep going with the life gain, or we can try to go for game. So if I go 7, 8, well, 7, 7, keep the 1-up, it'd be pretty hard for him to get game on us next turn. Because we'd have 4, that's 9, 11, 13 is doable. Is it doable? It's not. Because I could counter something. Or we can just play this and go for a game next turn. Decisions. I think we got to go for it. Let's just try it. Yeah, it gives us the 2K, 1K. Yeah, this is fine. Because, I mean, frankly, now I can just KO this. Yeah. Yeah, we'll just go here. And then we pitch this bad boy in. And swing for a 7. Yeah, cool. We're good. End the turn. I could have also just not attacked there and he would have only had the 1. I mean, he can play the blocker. We know that. But even if he plays a blocker, even if he plays 2 blockers right now, we still have Yamato. And all these swings going through. So I'm just like not terribly upset. 7. Oh, look. This guy's going to be pretty upset, guys. Yamato's out. And we get another Yamato. It's insane. Oh, man. Yeah, so let's just go, 9,000. Okay, GG's. Linlin's going hard, guys. I kind of like Linlin. I'm not going to lie.